Miami will not be signing Arizona State transfer quarterback Sam Leavitt. He's going in a different direction, and the Hurricanes will have to do the same.
You are Locked On Canes, your daily podcast on the Miami Hurricanes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Curse you, Lane Kiffin! I am Alex Donno, University of Miami alumnus, co-host of Locked On ACC and host of Postgame on the Hurricanes Radio Network. And thank you so much to the everydayers for making Locked On Canes your first listen. We're available free wherever you get your podcasts. We're free on YouTube. We're part of the #1 Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm sure my guy, Matt Moscona on Locked On LSU is doing a very different type of reaction right now. So Arizona State transfer quarterback Sam Leavitt, he visited Miami over the weekend, Friday night into Sunday morning. He obviously left Sunday morning without committing to Miami. He had left previous visits to Tennessee and LSU without committing to either of those stops. He returned back to his home in Arizona, weighed his option, probably fielded a ton of phone calls from contingents of the various schools. And yeah, as of late Monday morning, Sam Leavitt is signing with the LSU Tigers. So Lane Kiffin got his man. Miami is going back to the drawing board. And I assure you, Miami obviously was not putting every single one of their eggs in this basket. Like I know Levitt had become their #1 quarterback option, but we'll talk about what the alternatives could be here. And so, yeah, listen, it always stings to miss out on a target. And in the case of Levitt, why, I wanted him here, was not necessarily the perfect situation because he is recovering from an injury, a Liz Frank surgery on his foot, and likely would not be available for spring football. Miami dealt with that with Carson Beck, with his throwing arm and elbow recovering, and it's worked out well with Beck. Just had a career-defining, game-winning drive, and Miami's headed to the national championship game, but we will not have the same opportunity to continue that with Levitt. But what I really, like about Levitt is his experience, first and foremost, having a 1 year remaining of eligibility. He's played in some big-time games. He's been to the college football playoff before last season, and he's a legitimate dual threat quarterback. He's a gamer. It's obvious why Mario Cristobal wanted him and why Lane Kiffin wanted him, and they've actually signed 2 quarterbacks this week, the quarterback from Elon and now Sam Leavitt, who I imagine is going to, walk into LSU's starting lineup this year. We could tell over the last 24 hours or so that something just didn't feel right about the final negotiations. I don't know too many of the gruesome details, and I don't want to speculate too much, but there's definitely been a feeling that actually ironing out the details of what it would take to finalize Levitt to Miami were difficult. I know that, his agent, who's his brother, has been known to definitely make things a little bit difficult when it comes to negotiations. And so, there was a point yesterday where, based on the buzz I had been hearing, Miami had reason to feel optimistic on Sunday. Some even thought maybe an announcement could have come at some point on Sunday. That didn't materialize, of course. And, we knew that LSU had stayed very much in it, right? There was a time mid last week when it looked as though Lane might have fumbled it. When Levitt was on his LSU visit, he was sitting courtside at a LSU basketball game with Coach Kiffin, and then the news came out that DeMond Williams of Washington was going to enter the portal. That didn't end up happening because of the legal dispute over his NIL deal, but it looked as though LSU actually pivoted toward DeMond Williams being their guy and maybe put Levitt on the back burner, and there were some hard feelings. But then when Levitt went to Tennessee to visit the Volunteers, when he was on his way out of Knoxville, Lane and some LSU coaches actually flew out to the airport to basically intercept him and make him a new offer. They gave him a lot to think about, and they've made this happen. So, and by the way, Levitt to LSU is not the only quarterback domino that fell today. because another one of the top available guys, someone I don't think any of us on the field liked quite as much as Levitt, but another, experienced commodity, Dylan Raiola, formerly of Nebraska, has committed to Oregon today. That happened shortly before the LSU news came out. And so when we're thinking about what could be next for Miami, one opportunity that you would have to think about, and again, this is not like as proven of a guy as like Sorsby, who Miami was looking at, who went to Texas Tech, or Sam Leavitt now, who goes to LSU. But LSU was also looking at Husan Longstreet, who I think was kind of a backup plan, in case they didn't get Levitt. So that may, who knows if Miami might bring him in for a visit. But I would have to say that the number one option right now, before anything might, happen with Longstreet, formerly of USC, if Miami is giving Alabama's Ty Simpson a lot to think about. Because folks' story came out just earlier today on On3 Sports that despite the fact that Simpson has officially, or at least verbally declared, I shouldn't say officially because it's not, the deadlines haven't passed, but Ty Simpson has verbally declared for the NFL draft. He's still receiving a half dozen plus lucrative multi-million-dollar offers from universities to play another year of college. Now, I don't ultimately know what Simpson is going to do because his situation is a little bit different from Carson Beck last year and from Cam Ward the year before, and it's different because the expectation for Ty Simpson seems to be that he's going to be a first-round draft pick. That wasn't the case with Beck last year. It wasn't the case with Cam Ward the year before. Now, after a year at Miami, Ward ended up being the number one overall draft pick. But Ty Simpson is expected to be a first-round draft pick, middle to late first round probably, without playing another down of college football. Now, I still think that for his NFL future, Ty Simpson could benefit, and I think his team is aware of this, otherwise they wouldn't be picking up the phones with these offers, that he could still benefit on the field from playing another year of college because he only has one season, 13 games of starts under his belt at the collegiate level. So he could maybe benefit from more seasoning. And then, the elephant in the room here with today's college football is you got a lot of millions to think about, right? I mean, there are advantages to starting your NFL career a year earlier, of course, because you start the clock earlier for your second contract. However, if there are teams offering $5 million plus and up to $6.5 million for one season of Ty Simpson, he would make considerably more money in college next year than he would as a rookie in the National Football League. So that is something for him to think about. And on this On3 report, insider Pete Nakos reported, that Simpson was still evaluating all of his options regarding his future. And apparently, let me get to the dollar figure part of this report. He's reportedly received high-dollar NIL offers from other Power 4 programs, including one particular deal that could total as much as $6.5 million, according to AL.com. That reportedly includes 3 other SEC programs that are offering at least $4 million for Simpson services. So it's funny how they say SEC programs offering up to $4 million. That implies the program offering him 6.5 is not an SEC program. I wonder if that could be Miami, or if Miami is in that ballpark for Ty Simpson, because again, you're trying to convince for the third straight year potentially someone who's declared for the NFL draft to undeclare the way Cam Ward did and the way that Carson Beck did. And Ty Simpson this season, 64.5% completion rate, 3,567 yards, 28 touchdown passes to just 5 interceptions. And even though he did crack a rib in his final game, he would be okay for spring football. So he would not have to miss, spring ball the way that Beck did last year and the way that Levitt is going to have to do for LSU. So, I mean, listen, folks, as far as, your opportunity to get somebody out of the portal, who's not in the portal yet, but if you're gonna get somebody from someplace else, I don't think Miami could do any better than the possibility of Ty Simpson, right? You wonder if they give Longstreet a look And, another one who, not at the same level, in my opinion, but Bo Pribula from Mizzou and formerly from Penn State. He's in the portal. He hasn't landed at a destination yet. You have to wonder if Miami might consider giving somebody like him a look. And then, of course, I've got, fellow Miami fans in my mentions advocating for giving the players in the room a chance, right? That, the Hurricanes are going to have again next year what should be a really good offensive line, should have an excellent running game because you're getting your big-time players back. Mark Fletcher is coming back next year. Marty Brown is going to be back. Gerard Pringle is going to be back next year. The defense, Corey Heatherman's not going anywhere, so the defense, you're losing some pieces, but they should be really good. Perhaps you give an opportunity for the guys that are in your room, Emory Williams, Luke Nickel, who I think has grown a lot during his true freshman season, Judd Anderson heading into his third year, and Darion Coleman. I would imagine Darion, coming out of high school is going to need some time in the strength and conditioning program, but he'd be more than happy to compete for that job if it does become an open competition. So these are the things that we're wondering, right? What are the plan Bs and the plan Cs going to look like? I would like to imagine that Ty Simpson, if that was plan B, that has now become plan A with missing out on Sam Leavitt. But then I'm wondering how deep Miami would go with other potential portal candidates, or do you do what a lot of Miami fans want you to do, and that is stick within your room and, try to develop the guys that you already have here rather than going into the portal for a third straight year. Now, last thing I'll say, in terms of bringing in possible transfers, I know that the portal technically closes on, the 16th? Now that's not the deadline to commit somewhere. That's just the deadline to enter your name. So the most important date, it's January 16th is when you can no longer enter your name into the portal. But the most important date when it comes to signing somebody from Miami is January 21st, because that is the drop dead enrollment deadline. Because I know it's basically professional sports now, but it's still technically college football. And in order to get somebody on your team, they have to enroll at Miami by January 21st to be eligible, at least for the spring semester in spring football. So that's the date that you look at, that if Miami is going to be adding a quarterback into the transfer portal who can participate in off-season workouts and spring ball, January 21st is the drop-dead date for that, and whoever you add has to be in the portal by January 16th. So Levitt is off the board. We go on to the next. We'll keep you updated with everything that happens. I am Alex Donno. Make sure you smash the like button and subscribe. If you want to get constant updates, one-on-one texting, and other spots, you want to join the all-access tier of the Everydayer Club. Click the link in the show notes below or go to lockedoncanes.supercast.com, and we'll talk to you next time on another episode of Locked On Canes. We are part of the awesome Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.